My relationship with AirPods Max is complicated. I've had the originals since day one. I bought them as soon as they were released. I did a whole video interviewing classical musicians, including my wife, getting their opinion on this versus the Sony XMs at the time, and have gone through phases of using the original AirPods Max, especially when flying internationally. I watched an entire season of Ted Lasso in these headphones on a plane, but for several reasons it's never stuck to use these full time. But now we have a legitimate version 2 with conversation awareness, the H2 chip, all of that, but the issues that made the originals hard for me to use on a daily basis haven't really changed much. But I've been using the AirPods Max 2 for over a week now, testing it with all my favorite tracks and some new ones, and there's a few differences that might tempt me to use these more often, but there's still 3 core issues, ironically they all start with the letter C, that still get in the way of me using these every day. But here's how they compare to the original AirPods Max, many of the other over-the-ear headphones I've tried like the Sonos Ace, Sony XM6s, noise cancelling, transparency, and my overall review of AirPods Max 2. So when it comes to the actual hardware, aside from the Lightning port on the first gen to the USB-C port on the new ones, there is no difference here. Same canopy, same stainless steel extension rods, same ear cups. The only real difference is inside with the H2 chip. I'll link this article in the video description, but TechRadar actually got an interview to talk about the AirPods Max 2 with Apple, and even they make it very clear. Any improvement you see from noise cancelling to sound quality is strictly the chip and the new high dynamic range driver, because Apple says we didn't change the actual design of the headphone at all from a form factor or material standpoint. Now that H2 chip allows for features that you see in the AirPods Pro 2 and 3 like live translation, conversation awareness, voice isolation, but how does it actually sound? Well, the AirPods Max 1 were already really good at noise cancelling and transparency mode, and I do notice on the AirPods Max 2 it feels slightly improved. It's really good at noise cancelling. Whether I was sitting outside on the patio, cancelling out those noises, going grocery shopping, they block out a lot of sound. And transparency mode I still feel is the best of any over-the-ear headphone I've tried. It really feels like there's nothing on your ears at all, you just hear the room and environment around you. Now it might be because I wear glasses and so there's not a perfect seal with these ear cups and possibly the size of my head and ears, but the noise cancelling I get from these isn't as good as some earbuds. Like I recently tried the Sony XM6 earbuds and that noise cancelling was wild. One test I did with both headphones is wearing them with noise cancelling as my wife practiced flute literally in the same room. With the AirPods Max 2, it definitely quieted it a lot, but when the flute went higher in the register, it definitely came through a little bit and I could hear it with AirPods Max, whereas those in-ear Sony earbuds, I could barely hear the flute, if at all. Now in most situations where you want noise cancelling, whether it's on a flight, in a crowded area, the noise cancelling is going to be incredible, and there is a slight improvement from this over the first version. And paired with the new high dynamic range amplifier, I do think the sound quality is slightly improved. It's hard to notice even when you're doing it side by side, one after another with the originals versus the new ones, but they sound really, really good. I'll link this playlist that I used to test AirPods Max 2. There's a lot of tracks that I've used in the past, but just some standouts. This version of Mozart's Requiem Lacrimosa movement, I always test these with headphones. There's a very, very quiet chord that the strings play at the beginning, and if you can hear it with the headphones, that's a good sign. A lot of headphones, it's just inaudible. Also, this Morning track from Beck, the pure acoustic guitar at the beginning of that track, sounds really good in AirPods Max 2, almost like it's in the room with me. I listen to the bass in tracks like At the Edge. I listen to a lot of pop songs to see how those sound. I listen to some of my favorite Hans Zimmer tracks, and of course Annihilate by Metro Boomin. Link to this playlist down in the video description. But I really enjoy listening to music, and even podcasts sound really good. I also like using AirPods Max if I'm watching something late at night, everyone else in the house is asleep, but I want that spatial audio Dolby Atmos effect if I'm seeing a movie. AirPods Max is great for that, and I do find that to be more comfortable for a certain amount of time over AirPods Pro 3. But that brings us to the first C of issues I have with AirPods Max: comfort. Your comfort wearing these for long periods of time can really vary. Now, if I get to go to WWDC this year, I'll wear these on the trip and we'll see how that goes. And more on comfort in a moment. And speaking of DubDub, if I get to travel there or anywhere else this year, I'm not leaving without today's sponsor, Away. I actually used to work for a travel company. Here's a picture of me on a camel, and I've used an Away suitcase for over 10 years. Every Away suitcase goes through a rigorous process of 30 plus tests, from the shell to wheels, the zippers, and it shows. Mine have traveled thousands of miles, and those wheels never wear out. It's ultra reliable. It has premium 360-degree spinner wheels. This is the bigger carry-on, and I love that it has an underside grab handle that makes Away's lightweight suitcases even easier to grab and lift, especially when you're putting it in that overhead bin. And even if I'm traveling for a longer trip, I'm able to fit an incredible amount in my Away suitcase. I put all the clothes on the right side, and I maximize every inch of packing space with a signature patent interior compression system, and your Away comes with a water-resistant drawstring polyester laundry bag. I use this on every trip, keeps the dirty clothes separate on the journey home. I also sneak an AirTag into that little zipper pouch so I can track my OA wherever it goes. Also has a TSA approved combination lock and ergonomic reverse coil zippers that easily pull, swivel, and rotate. Also love the green color I got now. That is my favorite color. And to complement it, you can also get the Away commuter backpack. Has that strap on the back so it can easily slide on your Away handle. It has 2 exterior water bottle pockets that holds up to 48-ounce bottles, 4 exterior pockets for quick access to your essentials, adjustable extra padded shoulder straps for all-day comfort, padded laptop pocket fits computers up to 16 inches with an extra slip for tablets, and it has that trolley sleeve that secures to any Away suitcase for a smooth ride. So scan this QR code or check that link down in the description and you can get 10% off your first Away order right now. Again, I bought my first Away over 10 years ago. It has literally traveled the world with me and I don't go anywhere without it. They look great, ultra durable, and they come in those nice colors. So scan here, check out the link below, and my thanks to Away for sponsoring this video. So back to comfort. Your head size probably varies, but for me, wearing AirPods Max for really long periods of time, the clamping strength, meaning how hard it feels like it's pushing into my head, I don't notice it in the first 20 to 30 minutes of wearing it, but after an hour and 2 hours, I do feel the pressure of these ear cups kind of pressing in. If you have a smaller head than I do, which is not hard to do, that might not be an issue for you. And I will say the ear cups I find much more comfortable than others from even things like Sony that kind of have like that soft touch silicone and a lot of times will make my head or ears sweat. I do not experience that with AirPods Max. And of course the magnetic removable ear cups, really nice to have. Now, Chance Miller, who reviewed these for 9to5Mac, he wears these every day for hours and hours a day. Here's a selfie I took with him at last year's Dub Dub, and there you can compare our head sizes. But he says he wears them every day and says they're pretty comfortable. So if you can get past the 3 C's, the first one being comfort, if these don't feel like they're clamping your head and they're comfortable for you, these are a great option. But then comes number 2, the case. AirPods Max got a ton of heat when the original came out, and this was the case that came with it. Plus the headphones don't actually fold to take up less space in a bag. And guess what? It has remained completely unchanged. This is still the case for AirPods Max 2, and yeah. After trying the Sonos Ace, which are much thinner, and the XM6s, which actually fold nicely into a case, I really wish these were easier to throw in a bag. Now there are some alternative cases, but you have to remember the case, this little bralette, puts it in low power mode, meaning your devices won't see it as an audio output. That is helpful because if you just have these on a stand on your desk, those AirPods Max 3s are always going to appear and try to auto switch unless you turn that off for your Mac and other Apple devices. But you can get a case like this from Waterfield. I've used this case for the past multiple years with my original AirPods Max, and there's actually a little magnet down here that will put your AirPods Max to sleep. You should see when you take them out of the case, there's a little green light that turns on right here. And when you put them in the case and make sure that magnet's between them, that little green light will turn off. Now it's still fairly large, again, because the AirPods Max don't fold up, but you get a little zipper pocket here if you want to put a USB-C to headphone jack adapter, little netted pocket here, comes in multiple colors. I still really like this case, and it's what I use when I travel with AirPods Max. Now Waterfield didn't sponsor me, and I don't get any affiliate revenue if you get their cases, but I love all their stuff. Their backpacks, their bags, and they sent me their new briefcase, which if you prefer something like this over a backpack, got the little strap to go into a luggage handle, can fit your laptop, iPad, and of course, the AirPods Max case can fit perfectly in there too. But if you can get past comfort and the case, or maybe get something like the Waterfield, then we get to the third C, which is cost. But before we talk about that, there's actually 2 other C's I wanted to mention. One is color. Thanks to Basic Apple Guy for sending me this photo. He had the original silver AirPods Max 1s, and these are the new Starlight AirPods Max 2s. There is a difference in that color, but as you can see, it is very slight. And unfortunately, they didn't change any of the colors from that USB-C version that came out a couple years ago. Now, I went with the Starlight, and I do kind of like the color. It looks silvery in a lot of lights. And I did go ahead and actually engrave it with my initials. That stands for Sir Stephen Robles. No, not really. But man, I really wish they would have come out with a nice hunter green color. I'm still envious I missed out on the Alpine green iPhone 13 Pro that came out multiple years ago, and we haven't had a really nice green iPhone, or any Apple device since then for that matter. But the color choices leave something to be desired, and I know a lot of people on social media still just want a stark white or silver AirPods Max 2. No dice on that. And one other C is the Canopy. I don't know if Apple named this with the first AirPods Max, but this mesh netting right here on the top, Apple calls it the Canopy. Now, when I wear it on my head, this is actually the part that rests on top. I don't really get these hard metal rods resting, which is probably nice, but I do want to compare it to how my AirPods Max 1 have held up. Now, since I wasn't using my original AirPods Max very much, I let my middle son use these for a while, and as you can see, durability of this Canopy, it can get pretty loose. I mean, it wasn't doing anything crazy with it, but after multiple years, this canopy kind of loses its tension. Now you can get replacement ear cups, and I think you can even replace the battery on the AirPods Max, but I don't think you can replace this canopy. So if you're gonna be carrying these around a lot and maybe sticking your fingers through this canopy and holding it like this, just be aware, this canopy is not indestructible. It's gonna stretch out over time. But let's say you get past all those C's, the comfort, the case, the colors, and the canopy. What about the cost? These cost $550 still. Sometimes on Amazon or at Best Buy, you can get them a little cheaper. They're $530 right now. Yes, I'll put affiliate links to this and the next two headphones I'm gonna mention in the description. But one of my favorite over-the-ear headphones that I've tested recently has been the Sonos Ace. I do find these to be really comfortable. They sound great. Lots of nice physical tactile controls, and these are $200 cheaper at about $350. Now, I didn't do robust battery testing, but over-the-ear headphones typically have really good battery life, definitely all day, if not multiple days. I have found that true for the AirPods Max 2 and also the Sonos Ace and Sony's that I tested previously. And one advantage I'll give to the AirPods Max 2 is these ear cups with the mesh material. It is more comfortable and makes my ears sweat less than the Sonos Ace material on their ear cups. But again, if the ear cups don't bother you, $200 less, still sound great. The ANC and Transparency is not as good on the Sonos Ace, but it is still very good. If you're not doing side-by-side testing, the Sony Ace ANC would be excellent. And I also recently tested the Sony XM6s, almost $100 less than AirPods Max 2. They actually fold up nicely, so the case is a little smaller. Actually comes with a full case and some of the other cables in the box. Extremely comfortable. Both the Sonys and the Sonos Ace are much lighter than the AirPods Max 2 because there's more plastic than all the stainless steel. And ANC and Transparency is very good. Still not as good as AirPods Max. I give these an edge in the ANC and Transparency, but great sound quality, great overall ANC and Transparency, $100 less. But the one factor that probably keeps most of us using the Apple products doesn't start with a C, but an E, the ecosystem. Any other time I've used other over-the-ear headphones or earbuds, pairing them with every one of my devices, my iPhone, my iPad, my Mac, it can be a little cumbersome during the setup, and then the switching between those devices is always a manual process, going up to the menu bar or device's Bluetooth and choosing the headphones. Is that a first world problem? Yes. But when you go back to using AirPods, that auto switching is super nice. Whether I'm playing something on my iPhone or maybe I start playing a video on my Mac, just auto switches immediately, and that is a convenient feature. Also, I edit videos basically from my Studio Display XDR speakers most of the time, but as I have 3 kids and they're often in the house and there's lots of noise, I do like wearing headphones editing videos sometime. And one of the issues with any wireless headphones is the latency. So when I'm editing a video, if I press the spacebar to play, there's a delay between when it starts to play and when I hear it. And it's very hard to edit real time. I have to basically go by the waveforms because there's a slight delay. I will say AirPods Max 2 with that new H2 chip makes it easier to edit in Final Cut wirelessly with no cable, and it is very close to real time. Not precisely, and not like using a pair of wired headphones, but these are fast enough where I can edit with these, and it's not a cumbersome process. So for that reason alone, and they do sound good, I like them on maybe long trips, I'm gonna be keeping AirPods Max 2, but whether they're right for you, I think you have to think about all the C's. And it is hard to test in the store because honestly, they don't get uncomfortable for me until that 45-minute, hour mark or more. So you might have to get them, try wearing them for a week. Can you do an 8-hour workday with these on? Which I see lots of people in coffee shops and even the gym using AirPods Max. But if they're comfortable for you, the cost isn't a problem, you don't care about the case, and you're in the Apple ecosystem, man, the AirPods Max 2 are super nice and they've finally been updated with that H2 chip. So let me know if you have any other questions down in the comments. I'll be keeping mine. That's why I engraved them. I still default to my AirPods Pro 3 if I'm on the go going to the grocery store, but here at my desk and around the house, I think I'm gonna be using these a little more. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. I'll actually put my review of those Sony XM earbuds, which I actually really liked, right up here. And no matter what headphones you get, you can test it with my podcast, Primary Technology. New episodes every Thursday. You can watch or listen to it in Apple Podcasts or on YouTube or on Spotify, available anywhere. You can scan this QR code or that link is down in the description as well. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.